What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another video. And at the request of Patreon supporter and fellow YouTuber Brett on Fett, I decided to take a look at a couple of items that recently arrived, probably in the last 3 to 4 weeks for both of these items. And I've shown, I believe, both of these briefly in a live stream for my Patreon supporters. And I wanted to kind of just show you a little bit more detail for these items, as well as kind of some fun facts about these items. So let's take a look at them. So first off, I wanted to show you a couple of items that have been in my collection for a while. The first Death Star droid mint on card I ever bought, it was quite a doozy. And this is the 20 back D with the free Boba Fett offer. This one is unpunched, but it did have a price sticker up here in the corner. And it does have, as you can see, really nice blister protection. And this is graded CAS 80. This is the 20 back D, as I mentioned. Straight 80s for the sub scores. A beautiful example. And more on that in a little while when we show you the new item. The back of the card is where the action is. And this rocket firing Fett offer was blacked out because obviously you know the story by now, most of you, where a piece of Battlestar Galactica accessory got caught in a child's throat. And so they decided, as we know, to get rid of the rocket firing feature for the mail-away Boba Fett. And so this one has the blacked out sticker on there. And they updated this card back with a number of different variations. And as I said, we will take a closer look at it. This is the 21 back A Death Star droid. I picked this up ungraded from Chris W. over at Rogue 5 Toys on Facebook. He just offers incredible stuff, and I picked this up about a year ago, if not more, and it returned earlier this year, and it is a gorgeous example. It's got a couple of price stickers with the final price adjustment of $239 over top of it, and this is unpunched. A beautiful, beautiful 21 back A Death Star droid, and it graded straight 85s. Just beautiful. And so thank you again to Chris for that. Here's the back of the card on that one. And let's take a comparison real quickly before I show you the new item, so you can see how those card backs look differently. And now let's dig into the new one. This is one I picked up from Deal or No Deal on Facebook. It's a really great group. And if you're not familiar with Deal or No Deal, basically people show items, they show pictures, and they say make an offer. And if they like the offer, then they'll make a deal. Well, this one showed up, and the bids started going up, and then the seller said, well, we've hit my magic number. Whoever has the highest price at 9 p.m. will be the winner. And no other offers popped in. So at 8:59 p.m., I made an offer that was $25 higher, and I ended up winning it. And this is labeled the 20 back G Death Star droid. So the sub scores are 80, 80, 85 for an overall 80, near mint. And as you can see, it's got the archival sticker there. For those of you unfamiliar with what that means, this is just an upgraded acrylic case that provides apparently 99% UV protection. And so it's beautiful. It's an absolutely beautiful item. I'm glad I picked it up. And let's take a look at a comparison between the 20 back D and this is labeled the 20 back G. Now, down here in the lower corner, I'm going to show you a quick graphic. And there is a website that kind of covers different card backs. And this is a long story, so probably more information than you want. But there is another sticker variation where the corners, as you see in the graphic, are not rounded off like this one. And they have sharp corners. So it's a true rectangle. And that is, in my opinion, the 20 back E. Or excuse me, the 20 back G, excuse me, the 20 back E, as labeled by that website, has the rounded corners. So this one is labeled the 20 back G, even though it has rounded corners. And the reason for the difference, I found this out from Jeff E., who is a longtime, big-time collector who has one of the greatest Star Wars collections I've ever seen in my life. But he said that AFA and CAS go by the Kellerman matrix, the Kellerman book, which is kind of the holy Bible, so to speak, for different cardback variations. At the time, the Kellerman book said that this is a 20 back G, and that's what AFA and CAS to this day still use. But the squared off corners, they consider that website that I pulled those photos from for that insert that I just showed you, they consider the rounded corners to be the 20 back E, the sharp corners to be the 20 back G. So he said that's the reason for the difference. AFA and CAS go by the Kellerman book, even though that book is not quite complete or maybe not quite as accurate anymore. So that's what they say anyway. Hopefully I'm translating Jeff's email or message to me correctly, but that's what the difference is. But it's a gorgeous example and just kind of another card back variation. And the main reason I bought it was just to get a different sticker variation for the backs of these Death Star droids. I have a small run of Death Star droids. These are the three I'm showing you. I also have an Empire Strikes Back 45 back, as well as a couple of Return of the Jedi card backs, the 77 back A, as well as a 65 back B, I believe. But I wanted to at least show you some of these early Death Star droids. We've got the 20 back D, what's labeled as the 20 back G, and then the 21 back A. So they look awfully fantastic together, and that's kind of the quick and dirty as to why the labels on these 20 backs are labeled G. We just documented in a vintage Star Wars market update a Luke X-Wing that was also labeled the 20 back G by AFA, even though it did have the rounded corners on that yellow sticker on the back. So that is way more information than you probably wanted, but that is what the facts are to my knowledge. Let's dig into the final item that I picked up in the last Hakes auction that is super hot. The second item I picked up is related to my Cloud Car Pilot run. I don't know why I'm obsessed with the Cloud Car Pilot, and neither do most of my subscribers, but I did play with him quite a bit growing up, and I do love the way he looks on the card with the vehicle, and there he is inside the canopy. It's just one of those figures that I have fond memories of for childhood, and like most of us, we can't collect everything, so we tend to collect what we can afford and what we can display. And Cloud Car is just, the Cloud Car Pilot is just one of those figures that I've always loved. So here are two examples that have already been in my collection that I've shown in the past on the channel. This is the 65 back A. I believe this might be the first Cloud Car Pilot mint on card I ever bought. And it was in a really heavily scratched up AFA case. I got it for a discount on eBay. I broke it out and then I sent it back into Collector Archive Services since I had an account with them at the time. And it came back the same grade. This is, again, the 65 back A. Cloud Car Pilot 80, 85, 90 were the subscores. I believe all the subscores were actually the same as well. But anyway, it graded an 80 plus. I like this one because it had a clear blister, which is always tough to find on Return of the Jedi card backs, and it's offerless. So I just really like this one. Beautiful card back. It's got the two blacked out Ewoks there, and obviously the 65 back B took out the blacked out feature. But a gorgeous one, and I believe that was my first one. And then this is one I just showed here recently. I picked this up on eBay. I way overpaid for it, which is what we do sometimes. But this is the transition card, free Nien Nunb offer, and one of the more difficult figures to find for the Cloud Car Pilot. One of the more difficult card backs to find for him. They just were not produced in big numbers. And when I say transition card, for those of you who are new to that, that just means that only Empire Strikes Back figures appeared on the first Return of the Jedi card back as they were transitioning over to new packaging. So for all of these Nien Nunb 48 back Return of the Jedi cards, it's only ESB and original Star Wars characters, first 21 characters. So this is one, again, that I really like. It's unpunched, and it graded AFA 80. And if you remember from the live stream, you know that it's related to this, the new item I'm going to show you, and it's quite a doozy. It is a Revenge of the Jedi proof card. So this is a pre-production kind of prototype. When George Lucas originally was going to name Return of the Jedi Revenge of the Jedi, Kenner produced these early card backs to kind of test out the packaging. And this is one of those survivors. It's unpunched. It's got obviously the free Nien Nunb offer. And then George Lucas, of course, as we all know, changed the name of the movie because he thought Jedi don't get revenge. They don't take revenge. That's against their code. So it's called Return of the Jedi, and the rest is history. But some of these early proof cards, these pre-production proof cards, engineering samples, or whatever you want to call them, survived. And this one was at Hakes, and Revenge of the Jedi proof cards are very expensive. I'm not trying to say that they're not, but they've come down in price quite a bit from kind of the coronavirus highs, so to speak. And those, let's call it 6 to 9 months ago, this was quite a bit more expensive. But for whatever reason, Revenge of the Jedi proof cards are coming down in price. And the other thing that kept the price down is that this was graded 80 plus by AFA. So that helped as well. Usually with proof cards, people, high-end collectors like to get 85s or 85 plus or 90s because it's really just a piece of cardboard that you're buying. and it was still way more than I wanted to spend, but I did want to kind of show a more detailed kind of look at this card back. With these proof cards, you'll also notice that the bottoms are squared off with sharp edges instead of the typical rounded edges like you see at the top of the card back. But that is really the only big difference, obviously, other than it not being used. The reason it really got the 80 plus score is because of some staining, as you see on the back of the card. There's just some very light staining to the yellow portions. That's what kept the price, or excuse me, kept the grade down. And quite honestly, I think an 80 plus was probably generous. I was, looking at this staining, I probably would have given it just an overall 80 personally. There's no creases or anything like that on the card to my knowledge, but you can see how less vibrant it is versus the final retail version of the card back. It's kind of more of a matte finish versus the very vibrant, crisp card back for the actual retail release of the figure. And the other interesting thing is that you'll see Revenge of the Jedi versus Return of the Jedi for the card back, but pretty cool item. It's a piece of collecting history. I never personally thought that I would own a Revenge proof, but I did sell a number of items on Rogue 5 Toys, mainly graded TVC, some graded vintage bootlegs. So for those of you who are watching that did purchase from me, I really appreciate it. It means a lot. And, I literally saved every dollar for about 2 months or so, and was able to kind of pick this up. So I was very excited about it. The other interesting thing that I just now noticed that I hadn't noticed before is that the offer was good, or the offer expires June 15th of 1983, whereas the original, the proof card, the Revenge proof card has May 15th, 1983. So for the final production figure that appeared at retail, they added a month for the Nien Nunb offer. So just another kind of interesting little data. But anyway, the main thing I wanted to point out was the squared off corners that you see there, and the less vibrant card back. And I'll do another zoom here of the actual card back here so you can get a nice look at it. But just one of those pieces of history that was very happy to add it for a key character. I don't think I'll ever get another proof card just given how expensive they are. But I think if I was, I'd probably get a Bosk if one ever became available that I could actually afford, which is highly unlikely since those can go for $2,000 plus now. But, the front of the card back is really clean. There's maybe just like one or two very slight indentations, but I don't see any actual spider veins or creases. You can see one little kind of indentation right there, but just a gorgeous item, and I'm very, very proud to have this Revenge of the Jedi proof card added to the collection. And, I was just kind of meeting a Patreon supporter's demand to kind of take a closer look at some of the items that I've picked up here recently. These are probably the two biggest pickups I've had all year, and it's just an amazing addition to the collection. And as I usually do with kind of these pickup videos, I did put together a slideshow at the end with a close-ups of the Death Star droid that I just picked up, as well as this Revenge proof. And I also threw in a couple of photos of the full run of my character focus mint on card figures for the Death Star droid and the Cloud Car pilot, for those of you who are interested in that sort of thing. That's all I really had for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will be back soon.